Hello everyone, this is Douglas E. Welch with another episode of In the Garden, and I spy with my little eye something that is right there. It's so tiny. I think it's a potato. I have been waiting for over a week now to see some sign that the potatoes I planted were actually going to come up, and I think we're finally starting to see at least one of them come up here. It's on the right line where I would have planted them, and well, keep our fingers crossed that more of them come up, and I'll continue to show you the progress as they do. And our onions continue on apace as well. They're getting big enough now that the squirrels can't turn them out of the ground so easily. They're starting to get some secure roots there, so hopefully that'll cut down on the damage a little bit. Even with that though, this is going to be a heck of a bumper crop. I'm going to have to study up on how to store these things back once they become mature. I'm assuming a nice dry place in a dark garage would probably be the best spot for him. We go through tons of onions here in our own kitchen, so I'm sure we'll easily work our way through these, probably quicker than we might imagine. Here you can see the second of the bulbs that occur every year here in the garden. These are the snowbells. They're so delicate and so lovely. I particularly love the tiny little green dots on the end of each petal, which if you don't get down and really look at them, you may not notice at all, but I've noticed when I've gotten down and taken some up-close pictures with the macro lens, it just jumps out you amazingly. Coming up next will be the daffodils. The foliage is above the ground, but we're not seeing any flowers yet. According to my Google Calendar, where I keep my garden journal, we're actually about a week or so later than previous years for the bloom of the daffodils, although these are just about on time. You can see here with these daffodils though that right at the very top you actually see the flower buds starting to form there, and so it shouldn't be too long before we start to see that first flash of yellow in the garden. That's how I usually notice when it's occurring. I'll be backing out of the driveway, which is where this actually is along the side of, and I'll notice a flash of yellow out there, and sure enough, once the first 2 or 3 start, they all seem to come soon afterwards. And here you can see our bewitched roses are also blooming. The recent rains we had really caused them to explode. Some of these blooms are already starting to fade, but we have a newer one down here. In a good year we can get this kind of rose tide that runs up and down both sides of the driveway where they all tend to bloom at once. This blooms throughout the year actually, on and off, and recently we've been in such a drought state that the plants have not been doing well, but hopefully this year we'll be able to keep enough water on them that things will continue to bloom like this the rest of the year.
That's it for this episode of In the Garden for a Gardener's Notebook. Please send along your questions and comments. I'd love to hear what's happening in your garden. You can also post pictures or share them with me on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button on YouTube. It really helps other people to discover our videos. Until next time, keep digging.